Hello and welcome to Real Talk. I'm Alps Lifey. There is no graphical introductions or anything like this. Real Talk is basically me, you, discussion about cameras, my thoughts on the xt3 that I've been using for a couple of months now. I've had it since December, physically owned, have used it before that via rental. So how do I feel about it after a couple of months? Really kind of like justified in my purchase. Coming from the Canon, let me turn off my sound. Coming from the Canon and the Panasonic GH4, I was thinking about going to the GH5S or the Blackmagic Pocket. So one of the reasons why I didn't go with the Blackmagic Pocket was because of I kind of knew that Blackmagic would have a lot of issues with their cameras, because every time they've released one, there's always been like some sort of issue, whether it's a sensor issue, noise pattern issue, design problem, and following on from the availability as well. It's like you do end up waiting months. Like I know some people who waited like 9 months to get the camera after they ordered it, which wasn't really kind of like appropriate. I guess you could say, when you order a camera, you kind of want it within the month if you are pre-ordering it. So there was that, and following on from like Facebook forums on like Blackmagic cameras, a majority of people, well I say a majority of people that posted had a lot of issues with the camera. Some of the buttons were flipped upside down, there was light leak on the screens and stuff like that. That's not to say that I haven't had any issues with the Fuji xt3, because this is actually my second copy. The first copy I had, I discovered, and actually I was quite lucky I discovered it in time, that I had a dead pixel, and I thought it was like maybe just a screen, but then I could see it on my screen, and it was really annoying. And then a lot of people telling me to do like the pixel mapping, and that wasn't working, so it was just straight dead pixel. And there has been a few instances of people having dead pixels, so that's something to watch out for, and definitely do like a black screen test to check to make sure that you haven't got one yourself. Anyway, so now I've got this second copy. I've had this one, it's been solid, it's working great. What I really love about the xt3 is the 4K 60p, and the 4K quality video itself. Like I had a GH4, and I've used it with an external monitor, recorder, with like maybe the Atomos, and that would have given you 10-bit 422 4K, and when you're getting like, compared to like the Fuji, internally I'm getting 420 10-bit 4K. I would say like the Fuji's image quality is way superior, like way better, skin tones on point, the detail that I'm getting is crazy. Like I can compare my xt3's video quality to like a C200 even. We actually have a C200 in our production team, and I would actually just rather shoot the xt3 all the time. I'm sure if we shot the C200 raw, then maybe it'd probably be better in terms of like dynamic range, but in terms of image quality, when you think about the size of the xt3, how small it is, it's really compact and it looks good. I'm a big fussy kind of person. I like my cameras to look good. It looks retro. It's got that kind of, I don't know, it just feels like it doesn't sound weird, but it feels like a handmade camera. Like it feels like it was made personally, whereas like other cameras are slightly generic. Sony's by far have the worst design ever. They just look ugly. I hate Sony. I just don't like Sony's. I like the Panasonics. I think they look cool. I think Canon, with their mirrorless cameras, I think their mirrorless cameras look really great. It's just a shame that they're just like way overpriced and under-spec'd for what they are. So talking about the xt3, low light performance. I really like low light performance on the xt3. I think it's really good. I think you'll be struggling to find any camera these days that isn't really pushing low light boundaries. The xt3 is pretty usable even up to 10,000 ISO, depending on what you're shooting. If you really need to get that shot, you could use that 10,000 ISO with some available light. I know a lot of people had a little rant at me for introducing light in a low light test and bumping up the ISO, but what I was trying to make you understand is that in situations where you have got a light, but it's only like one source and that's all you've got, you'd still want to use that light. You wouldn't like literally go in an area with no lighting, you know. So that's what I did. I made the lighting so that it was very minimal, and that the ISO was used to bump up the exposure. So that was that. If you watch that, you can check it back on some of the videos, or you can see the card up here at the top, or left, right, whatever it's coming up. And so also I'm going to be making a web series based on 2 films that I've already made. So the first film we did was called Decommissioned. That was actually a test for the xt3, and we tested it to kind of see how it performed. You know, that test for me was like a kind of factor in buying the xt3, because at that point I was like, you know what, the Canon, I'm shooting with Magic Lantern RAW. I love the quality of Magic Lantern RAW, but it kind of loses itself in YouTube. It kind of like decompresses and it just kind of gets like ugly and it just doesn't look great. So when we shot with the xt3 on Decommissioned, and that again, you can see a card up there, that's doing quite well. It's got like around 8,000 views, which is more than I expected. That literally was just a test video. We thought, you know what, we were going to test like little bits and pieces here. I was like, you know what, we're better off shooting like a little skit or something like that. So we filmed that little piece, and I had a lot of interest in it. A lot of people were like, oh well, are you going to do something else with it? Are you going to make it bigger? So I rewrote the script. Well, I would say I rewrote. So I've written out a new web series for it. Episode's 1 been written already. We're planning to film that soon. And it's basically, you know, robots, sci-fi and everything like that. And we're going to be shooting with the xt3 with the kit lens. And that's another point I want to make about the xt3. So I bought the 50mm. And we can see that here. Is it going to focus? Maybe not, because I think it's on iPhone. Alright, anyway, well, I bought the 50mm. Do I like it? I like it, but I don't like it. I kind of wish I never bought it, to be honest with you. Not that it's a bad lens. It's not a bad lens. But I just find myself using the kit lens like 95% of the time. And the 50, for the price that it is and whatnot, I just can't help but feel like I didn't really need it. You know, I just got it because I thought that's usually the focal length that I go for when I'm like not breaking things. It's usually the focal length that I go for when I'm filming more cinematic stuff. I do like the 50mm focal length. Probably I should have got like a 24mm rather than the 50, but again, the kit lens is it's good. I've used the 50mm on it, and yeah, it goes up to f4, but it's still good. You know, I'm still able to use it really well, actually. What else? So after a couple of months of using the xt3, do I like it? Is it a justified purchase? Am I worried that other cameras are going to come out that are better? So do I like it? Yes. Am I justified in my purchase? Yes. Am I worried about newer cameras coming out? Not really. This camera will basically cement me for like a good 3 years. I'll put 3 years. I reckon we'll eventually in 3 years time go to like the next level. What could be improved? Dynamic range. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it too much. I want to save it for a future video, but I would be interested in a small compact form APS-C sensor cinema camera from Fuji, because we know that they do really good lenses for cinema. So they're kind of equipped to maybe pull out a little cinema camera, maybe something that could be kept low cost. Maybe if they could nail it around 2.5 grand, because this is 1.5. So if they did like a 2.5 cinema camera, you know, take out all the photo features from the XT series or XH series, stick it into a cinema camera, we could have something really good there. Small form as well, so that you can stick it on a gimbal. And that's a mistake where I think Canon went with the C200. You know, when I did my really bad video but good answers from the Canon rep about the C200, and you can probably search that on my channel, but it's terrible. Essentially what they were saying is like they made a camera that people wanted, and they didn't make a camera that people wanted. The Xt3 is a camera that people wanted, but they just didn't want it from Fuji, and Fuji came out and kind of like slapped everyone in the face, was like, wake up, we're here. And so that's what that happened, and I think Canon was like, whoa. First we were dealing with Sony, now we're dealing with Panasonic with the Micro Four Thirds eating to ourselves, and now Fuji just come out with the Xt3, and it's like, wow, you know, what are we gonna do here? And we all know that Canon's way behind. You know, I really like their cinema camera designs, and I think that they've got the right idea in mind, but they're just over, I mean, like really 8-bit 4K, and then the next thing you can shoot is RAW. It's just, they're confused, they really confuse themselves. Why wouldn't you just put 10-bit as a minimum standard and then put the 4K in? And yeah, they got the C300, but that's like 10K. You're limiting yourself to like rental companies and you know, professionals at the top level, and you're really missing out on those lower sales, because if you can make it like a $2 to $3 grand camera, you're still hitting the consumer market. And I think that they've, you know, made a big mistake there. And the Xt3 now is my go-to camera whenever someone's got a better camera technically, like let's say the C200, C500, FS7, A7S, whatever. I'm just not interested. I don't feel comfortable wanting to shoot with those cameras. I would all the time go to the Fuji, and that's not to say the Fuji hasn't got its drawbacks. I hate the screen, the way that it tilts out, flip out screen all the way. We really need that fully articulating screen to come all the way out. Right now I've got a field weld monitor on the top of it, so I can see myself, which is good, and it's, you know, it's a decent setup, but really I would like to have saved the weight by having to have that monitor on top and just have the flip out screen on there. There is some weird quirks with the audio, and I haven't quite tested it yet and can't quite gather my head around what the issue is. But sometimes if I'm like recording, so I had my lav mic in and then I was like plugging it into the Xt3, and I had my headphones, I had earphones, sorry, into my Xt3, and then was listening to it. It wouldn't play the audio back, and then like I was fiddling around and it would play it, and then I don't know if it's something to do with the HDMI cable. So if you're plugged into an external monitor, I'm not sure if it like causes an issue. So that's something I need to look into. I haven't really like delved into it much. I usually just check like to see if I look at the monitor here and I can see like my levels where they're kind of like peaking and stuff. I would usually check there and be like, okay, cool. It's where I want it to be. You know, I don't really need to listen to it. Although I should, I don't really have that luxury all the time. But that is a little problem that I've noticed, and I need to get that checked out. When I say I need to check it out, I need to test it myself. F-log versus inbuilt profiles. So for these videos at the moment, I'm testing a lot of the inbuilt profiles. So my motivation video, that was filmed on classic chrome, and I know I called it color chrome. I like color chrome. I think that sounds cool. But yeah, it was classic chrome. And this one is on the Provia. No, wait, negative S, NS, whatever that is. I'll put a title here so you can see what it is. So that's what I'm doing now, and because I wanted to lift out the details in my jumper, because it's black, and you know that it got really dark, and I'm using just like one light from there and a couple of swirly ones over there. So yeah, I just wanted to have a little brief talk, make it personal, real talk. That's what it's all about. No fancy graphics, no sort of like direct information. This is just literally a personal one-on-two thing. And what I wanted to know from you guys as well is like, have you bought an Xt3? Are you using it now? Do you like it? What made you want to buy it? If you're not buying it, why not? And what camera did you pick over the Xt3? And I mean, like, you know, obviously I'm coming from like the video side rather than the photography side of things. So mainly more focused for like videographers and stuff. But what do you feel like is prohibiting you from getting the Xt3 aside from costs? Like, let's say camera wise, do you prefer a Sony for some reason? Why do you prefer 8-bit image over the 10-bit image? What is it that Fuji hasn't got that Sony has, or maybe the Panasonic? And I know that the GH5S and GH5 are beast cameras, I know that. But they have got their own problems, and I feel like with the Xt3 and the upcoming updates, really there's not an excuse for low budget people to get this camera, which is over-spec'd for its price, in my opinion. I was expecting this to be about a $2,000 camera, because when you think about what you're getting, it's crazy. It's literally crazy. Like, just what's the Xt4 gonna bring? Are we gonna get like 8K or 6K or 4K 120p? You know, there's so many like possibilities, and I'm just thinking, and I know like the Xt3 is my first venture. It's not my first venture, but it's my first proper purchase into it, and I know that the Xt2 received many updates later on, like when I mean later. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the Xt3. Are they going to introduce anamorphic modes? Are they going to introduce open gate? Are they going to introduce, you know, who knows, burst rate or whatever? You know, I don't know what exciting things they can pull out of this camera and like really push it to its limit, and then transfer that over to the Xt4, which will make it beast mode. I really would love a 4K 120p, even if it's like a minute. If we would only be able to film it for a minute, that would be enough for me. I would literally just spam that like crazy, because I like the 120p from this camera, but it is a little bit soft. Like, you can tell the image starts to degrade a bit. It's not perfect, let me put it that way, but yeah, the 4K 60p is crispy. Whoa, I love it so much. You know, when you think about how good that is, especially with the autofocus. You know, the C200 can't even autofocus at 4K 60p apparently. I could be wrong, I might be wrong, don't quote me on that. I might be wrong, but I know there's a quirk. It's either 120p or 4K 60p, one or the other. It doesn't have any autofocus features, whereas this does. So that tells you a lot, and they're going to improve that autofocus as well. And we've already seen in the demo how good the X30 is. Yeah, good times, good times. And you know, this channel isn't just Fuji focused. You know, I do make films and stuff, and I might not always put out the best film, whatever, but I just, whatever I'm there available to film with, then I'll film it and I'll bang it out and put it on the channel. You know, I really want to make content weekly. I really want to grow my channel, and you know, people, you know, I love when people ask questions and stuff like that. So if anyone wants to ask any questions, leave a comment down below. If you like real talk, hit the like button, let me know, share it if you want. I don't know, put me in your like watch list for later, and really kind of like let's get personal. Let's talk about things that maybe people won't talk about, you know, the good sides of cameras, bad sides, maybe even could be work-wise, you know, how to get jobs, whatever it is, whatever the weather. And that's pretty much real talk for today. Hope you're all been good. Hope you enjoyed today's little talk, and keep it real. Subscribe if you want to, if you liked it. If you didn't subscribe anyway, you might like a future video. Tell your friends and family too. And that's enough of me begging for subscriptions, trying to hit that 600 goal for this month, hopefully. I did want to film this week, but so I bought these pair of Air Force trainers, sorry Nike, and they literally cut into the back of my ankles, and they made big holes, and I mean like horrible holes in the back of my ankles, and they kept bleeding, and it's been painful to walk. Like, I can usually go for anything, but it's really hurt me badly, and the other day I couldn't even walk in it properly, and it became infected and stuff like that. So enough of that. Hopefully I should have some films for you maybe tomorrow I might have a film, who knows. But this is today's real talk. Hope you all have a nice night, nice day, nice morning, whatever time you're watching it at, and I'll see you later. Peace out.